I can make an apology, mostly to Nick, but really to everybody in the sport. Look, guys, I was pissed off. I've been on a long trip. I haven't been sleeping, and I let it get the best of me. Nick and I have our issues outside of bodybuilding. I don't like Nick as a person.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, Hafthor Bjornsson, will he fight in the very near future, and will he be fighting Martyn Ford? So the fight between Martyn and the Iranian Hawk supposedly is completely off. The rest of that card, I believe, is still going to happen at the end of April. April 30th, I believe, is the date for the fight, without Martyn Ford and the Iranian Hawk. So everybody else that was scheduled to fight, those fights are still going ahead. Now, Martyn's put up a couple posts hinting at his next opponent. The most recent one seems to be the most telling, that it could possibly be Thor. He put up this caption. He says 1, 2, 3, and then he leaves 4 blank. And he says that's a clue for his next opponent. Now, obviously, the conclusion to be drawn there is that 4 rhymes with Thor. And the reason why I think that's interesting is I'm wondering if there's a chance that since Thor is clearly already in shape, he's still in shape, he just fought Eddie Hall, he's not going to be fighting Eddie Hall for the rematch for quite some time. Is there a chance that they're able to get Martyn Ford and Thor in this April 30th fight back on that card? I think it's possible, but I think likely they're going to set up a new fight because I think they're going to want to promote it a little bit better if it has Martyn and Thor fighting. But the fact that all of a sudden Martyn Ford has been posting all these little clues that he wants to fight Thor, and it is the end of April coming up on that fight, you know, maybe they do try to make this thing happen. And he put up a post before this one where he says, I'll give you guys a hint, the guy that I want to fight is very strong. Obviously, Thor is a former world's strongest man. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Martyn Ford box Hafthor Bjornsson? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's likely to happen before the end of the month on that same card that he was scheduled to fight the Iranian Hawk? Now, next up in the news, in bodybuilding news, I'm sure you guys are probably wondering what is going on between Nick Walker and Martyn Fitzwater. Both these guys are IFBB pros. I'm sure you guys have seen there's been some back and forth between them on social media. Martyn Fitzwater eventually issued an apology video to Nick Walker. So let me fill you guys in on what's been going on between these two guys. So there's a video on Guy Sister Nino's page, Guy Sister Nino posing with Martyn Fitzwater. And as you guys can see, Nick Walker left a comment on that video saying that Guy's legs are bigger than Martyn's. Now, Martyn escalated this extremely quickly in his response, which is still up as I'm making this video. These comments are both still on that Guy Sister Nino post. He says, at least I won't throw a blanking clot and die, Nightcrawler Nick. So while Nick kind of took an indirect shot at Martyn, that wasn't really anything crazy or anything rude. Martyn really took it to a whole nother level, and then, of course, everybody took this and ran with it. So Martyn then posted this story. He says, I hate Nick, and Nick hates me on a personal level, and let that anger act out of hand. Please continue to hate me if you hated me for this statement. I'm getting what I deserve for the comments I made. As for my sport, I'm sorry I even talked about death. We've had enough of that, and I'm a complete hothead, and I didn't control it at all this time. So then after that story, he goes on to post an Instagram reel actually apologizing to Nick. I'm going to roll that for you guys right here.
All right. Well, now I've got 1,000 messages and 500 death threats, and they finally stopped coming in. I can make an apology, mostly to Nick, but really to everybody in the sport. Look, guys, I was pissed off. I've been on a long trip. I haven't been sleeping, and I let it get the best of me. Nick and I have our issues outside of bodybuilding. I don't like Nick as a person, and he knew that commenting on that would get under my skin. I took it way too far. I don't want any bodybuilders to die any more than we've already had, and it wasn't like that. I just let my temper get the best of me, and then I tried to act tough in doing so. I wish Nick the best. I wish we could all stick together as a bodybuilding community. I know this isn't going to save face for me or anything, so don't expect that that's what this is for, but I do want to apologize to Nick and let him know that that was uncalled for, and I hope and wish him the best, and I'll just keep my mouth shut and train.
So you heard it there from Martyn. Honestly, I have no idea what the backstory is between these two guys. They say it's outside of bodybuilding. It's a personal thing that they just really don't like each other. And Martyn says that Nick knew leaving that comment would get under his skin because their beef apparently outside of bodybuilding runs so deep. And obviously, I think there's no excuse to basically wish death on somebody, especially in this sport where we've had way too much of that, especially lately. But I also don't think anybody should be sending Martyn death threats. If you're doing that, please stop. He apologized. He said he was wrong. I think we should. I think death threats are completely uncalled for everybody in any situation. Now, let's get away from bodybuilding drama and talk about actual bodybuilding news. So, a bodybuilding show that's coming up in the very near future. We're 1 week away now from the Arnold Classic South America, a.k.a. the Arnold Classic Brazil. And the physique update that you're looking at right now is a physique update from none other than Brandao. He's like the biggest name in this lineup, and that's something that I wanted to talk about because there's a lot of speculation right now that really nobody is showing up to this show. There's 2 or 3 guys that have publicly stated or confirmed they're doing this show for Men's Open. I believe that Men's Open is the only pro category at this show. I know for a fact there's no classic physique. I don't think there's men's physique either. And a lot of people are wondering if this show is even still going to happen with that few competitors being confirmed. Now, in this update, Raphael looks very impressive. I mean, he looks like he's in tremendous shape. Obviously, we wanted to see him do the Arnold Classic Ohio, which he was on the competitor list for. He pulled out of that show and said that he intends on doing the Arnold Classic Brazil because it's closer to his heart. And he is already qualified, by the way, for the 2022 Mr. Olympia. So even if he doesn't win this show, which it seems like it might be a foregone conclusion that he will, he's already qualified anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But he looks really good in these updates. Like we've always said, I mean, he's one of the more aesthetic Men's Open guys. He certainly brings something different to the Men's Open stage. Now, another guy that's doing this show that I think is very impressive, and he might be the only other guy doing this show, is Sibusisu Cotello. He's been posting a lot of physique updates lately, and honestly, he looks like he himself is a pretty aesthetic Men's Open bodybuilder. I think there's some similarities that can be drawn between him and Raphael Brandao's physique. And I actually remember when this guy won, he won the Sean Roden Classic, I think it was in 2018. Very aesthetic guy, and that's kind of the thing that's drawing me to his physique now, is he's got a very good structure, again, for a Men's Open guy. And I think it is comparable in a way to Raphael, so seeing these two on stage together I think will at least be a good battle. I think likely they're going to be in the same call-out, I think would be a safe bet, because I don't even know if there's going to be more guys than one call-out. I have no idea. I haven't heard anybody else doing this show. It's a bit out of the way. It's in Brazil. I don't see a lot of the big names traveling to Brazil to do this show because a lot of the big names right now are either already qualified for the Olympia or they're so far out in their prep for some of these shows in the States that are coming up towards the end of the summer. Those Olympia qualifying opportunities that are like July, August, September. And then there's some of those guys in the States right now that have the opportunity to compete here in a couple of weeks at the Indy Pro, the New York Pro. So I just don't see a lot of people going out of their way to go to this show. Now, speaking of the Indy Pro, Justin Rodriguez posting a full posing video, giving us a sneak peek at how he's looking. He says this was 22 days out when he filmed this video. I think arguably he is the favorite to win going into this Indy Pro. He's last year's Indy Pro champion, so he's the returning defending champ. He was just runner-up at the Boston Pro to the legendary William Bonac. Top 5 at the Arnold Classic, which arguably I think if he hadn't slipped after prejudging, he would have been top 3 there with the conditioning that he brought at the prejudging for that show. If he brings a package like he brought in Boston and at prejudging for the Arnold Classic, I think this is a pretty safe victory for him based on the names that I know that are in this show so far. He is really far and away the front runner for this lineup. And it's also worth mentioning, I believe both these guys he beat last year, the two guys that we're talking about now, Blessing and Charles, when he won the title last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it again this year. Now, that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. If you enjoyed it, let me know by liking the video. Give it a thumbs up, share it, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell notification icon. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.